Well, this really shouldn't take that much time. I think there are some very simple reasons that by the end of the season, you are going to see Luka Doncic become one of the youngest MVPs in NBA history. Maybe the youngest. He turns 22 in February. Not exactly sure how the days work out as compared to Derrick Rose, but nonetheless, it would be impressive. And he is no stranger to impressing, as even before coming to the NBA, he had a Hall of Fame-like resume. He walked into the league averaging 21, 6, and 8. He upped that last year to 29, 9, and 9. Basically triple-double numbers without being super athletic, without many people being able to explain how he actually does what he does. And here we are, at the very beginning of his third season, where I think he's a pretty safe bet to win the MVP. But here's why. It starts at the top, where you can pretty much expect that there will be a new MVP this year. We're in one of those rare situations right now where a player has repeated as MVP, but even rarer is a player three-peating. The last time that happened was Larry Bird dominating the league from 84 to 86. Didn't even happen during Michael Jordan's reign of dominance, hasn't happened with LeBron. I am 99% sure it is not going to happen with Giannis. If it did not happen with players that were winning championships and finals MVPs, I don't think it's going to happen with a player that has not been to the finals yet. Yes, it is a regular season award, but voter fatigue is a thing, and when a player is coming back similar to what he was every season but not going that far in the playoffs, somehow I believe that factors into the back of some voters' minds. And it 100% factors into the media narratives, which are also important in MVP. We've heard voters actually say that. So while Giannis will no doubt finish very close to the top of MVP voting, I don't know what he can realistically show us in this season that he hasn't showed us in the last two. So that opens one door for Luka, because there is likely no incumbent to unseat. Moving on, yes, as I've mentioned media narratives, which unfortunately are important, he has the media narrative going for him. It was only for one round, but he was the golden child for a portion of last year's playoffs. His co-star was out and he was still able to push the Clippers, who we thought had championship aspirations at the time, to 6 games. He did so with some of the most incredible playoff performances we'd seen to date, and this was his first playoffs. This was his first postseason. Sure, there was no crowd, maybe you might argue it was a bit easier, but Luka is not one of those players we need receipts on. He was already hooping like this before the playoffs, so this was kinda in line with things he was already doing. I think crowd or no crowd, this was due. However, the why in this case is pretty irrelevant, as the NBA has already anointed him. They've given him a Christmas Day game versus LeBron James. They've given the Mavericks plenty of national TV games. I don't think it's too wild to say that he's probably going to dazzle in many of these games where there's going to be plenty of eyes. Luka is going to have plenty of clout, and the media train is going to be fully behind him and his performances for most of the season. Now, this media factor is only one rung on the ladder because it does not solely determine it, but it helps. If you're confused, take yourself back to March, where it was very clear that Giannis was already the MVP, but after LeBron defeated the Bucks and the Clippers and he dazzled while doing it, on some shows he won the MVP solely based off that. Now, of course, the season stopped like a week and a half or 2 weeks later. The bubble games were said not to count towards MVP, so I still think Giannis would have won it, but there is no doubt that the media was lock in step with LeBron for about a week, and I think it was a huge boost. The third door that will open to benefit Luka this year is the MVP pool. Who are these candidates he's competing with actually going to be? From season to season, if there aren't drastic changes, as in injury or some other situation, the face has stayed pretty consistent. So we've already discussed why Giannis is not likely to three-peat. James Harden is currently in a very disgruntled situation in Houston. We don't even know where he's going to finish the season, and I highly doubt he's going to have the media narrative on his side, so he's already kind of starting behind here. The chances that he's going to turn this around, that he and John Wall are going to click, because I don't even think they fit great together anyways, and Houston's going to have some great season that propels Harden to an MVP, yeah, I doubt it. I don't think there are great odds there. LeBron James, as always, will probably be somewhere near the top. However, I really don't think winning MVP has been a specific goal of his for a while. Of course, he'd like to, but the Lakers are coming in on the shortest offseason in NBA history. He's fresh off a championship. His goal is clearly the championship, so he'll put up his numbers and compete, but I think more than likely Anthony Davis will be taking on even more responsibility this year. You might see some good number of load management for LeBron, because they've now signed him for, 3 more years? They want him to last as long as humanly possible, so going as hard as he can during the regular season at an MVP level probably does not benefit the squad. And then there's the very last issue of he and Anthony Davis playing on the same team. They are probably both MVP candidates, so while LeBron will always be close, I think there's a couple of factors that's actually going to keep him out of the top spot. However, the Lakers will also more than likely finish the first seed, and LeBron does have that media narrative behind him this season, fresh off of a championship, still dominating at this age, so I'm not putting him off like Harden and Giannis. And by the way, we've already discussed every player that finished in front of Luka last year in MVP voting. That was Giannis, LeBron, and James Harden. I think 2 of those names are definitely not winning it over Luka this year. And so if we were just doing it by chance, he's starting probably only behind LeBron James at the beginning of the season. If you're looking at some of the names behind him who may sneak up, Kawhi Leonard finished 5th, and Kawhi is definitely not going for MVP. Regular season is not his thing. saying he's verbally said that. Chris Paul is not going to win MVP. He finished in front of Damian Lillard actually last year. And Damian Lillard, Portland has a good roster this year. If they were able to finish maybe 3rd or 4th, he'd likely catapult on this list. So that becomes potential competition. But as far as just carrying over from last season, Luka's got a very heavy advantage here. One of the final specific reasons I believe Luka will win the MVP this year is because his numbers and seeding will probably support it. On the conversation of seeding first, for some reason there are a portion of people that don't believe the Mavericks can finish a high seed, and they finished 1 win out of 4th last season. That was with Luka missing 14 games partly due to an ankle injury, and that was with Kristaps Porzingis playing 57 out of the potential 75 games. So with both of their stars missing a pretty good amount of games as it is relevant to seeding, they still did really well. Kristaps is going to be missing games right off the bat, and I think he's going to miss more games throughout the season. That's just the nature of his health, but I think that will serve to help Luka because his numbers will probably hang around the same as what he was doing last season, and that will be without him having a consistent superstar duo partner. So again, LeBron having Anthony Davis, a guy like Kevin Durant, who I didn't even mention in MVP voting, having Kyrie Irving. I will actually go back to the MVP candidates. There were a couple of injury guys that I left out there, but yeah, even at full health, Porzingis probably doesn't count as a superstar. And if he is healthier than I believe that he will be this season, that will only serve the Mavericks more wins, which will put them higher in the seedings, and that will strengthen Luka's case. So as it pertains to Porzingis, it's kind of a win-win for Luka here. And my predictions, I had them coming in 4th this year, so let's say they're 4th behind the Nuggets, Clippers, and Lakers. Well, I don't believe in Kawhi Leonard winning regular season awards. Jokic, despite finishing 3rd seed last year, was 9th in MVP voting, and I don't think his numbers are going to touch Luka, so he might still place higher in the MVP ranking. Made the Western Conference Finals last year, probably on more people's radars, but given his situation compared to Luka, the media narrative, the health situations of the teams, I believe that that is going to give the advantage to Luka. Also, back to the cash cow situation, the Mavericks have 14 national TV games, the Nuggets have 6. Yeah, Jokic would have to do quite a bit to propel himself over Luka in an MVP race, I believe. I think he's starting at a disadvantage here, even if they finish a higher seed. After that, it would just leave LeBron and AD on the Lakers, who I believe are kind of taking from each other's case. If you're looking for some former players that might sneak into this race, you're probably thinking of a Kevin Durant, who again has his superstar duo partner in Kyrie Irving, but he's also coming back from a torn Achilles, so despite how good he might look to start the season, I think they're going to be treading kind of lightly on that. Not sure how high his usage is going to be, and I think the Nets' goal is probably a championship, not individual accolades here. So KD could reinsert himself here, but coming from an Achilles injury straight back to MVP in the 1st season, that is a very tall order, and I think at minimum he starts at a disadvantage as compared to Luka here. Then off of an injury season, you might be looking at a redemption arc for Steph Curry. No MVP since 2016, he hasn't even been considered because he's been playing on a team that was just unfairly stacked, so this is the first time in quite a while we've seen him on a regular roster, and so he's definitely got the kind of barriers to overcome that could propel him to an MVP type year. But also with the injury of Klay Thompson, that is a significant roadblock. I'm not sure in the West how good this Warriors team is going to be. I predicted them at 7th. I don't think they have a strong backup unit right now for when Steph is off the floor. How good they are this year will be determined upon how good he can be, how good a rookie can be, and how good a conglomerate of role players can be. First season back, I believe that is also a tall order. So I'm not saying that any of this is impossible, but this just all goes to show that from day one, starting the season, Luka is kind of at a high point. He is at an advantage of all the other players that might be competing for MVP this year, not named LeBron James. The only reason I believe he will probably end up edging it out over Bron is because of the situation that Lakers team is in, and the fact that LeBron James playing enough and hard enough to win an MVP for a full season probably contradicts the Lakers' long-term plans and even winning a championship this year. However, regardless of what happens, I definitely think they're going to be 1-2. And so just to recap, there is going to be a new MVP this season. Luka is completely set up in the media to be the front runner for that. The MVP pool, as coming from last year, gives Luka a huge advantage, and I believe that his triple-double, his near triple-double average, and the seeding this year are probably going to support his case. He's in a very strong position, and I believe he's the safe bet. But what do you think? Leave your candidates in the comment section below. Just a side note, I believe that I am done doing watch parties for the preseason. We did a couple on Twitch, and it was fun for the first night, and just I'm not invested enough in preseason basketball to hold hour-long watch parties for it. We will be there on opening night on the 22nd for the Warriors and Nets, Lakers, and Clippers. That will be a lot of fun, so Twitch link in the comment section and description. But for now, these lineups just look too weird. There's too many people not playing for certain teams. I'm just gonna take some of these games in on my own. Be sure to hit the like button, comment, and sub if you enjoyed, and hit the bell next to my name if you want notifications every time a new video drops. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you all on the next one.